Got some more train tracks here. On green, I'm going for it. That set of railroad tracks is exactly a quarter mile away from here. Oh! Gets hit by a semi-truck. Oh, that's not what I had in mind. An iconic scene, but it's fun to make fun of it, even though I love it. Let's get back on the freeway. Here we go. My GPS was giving me some really bad information there. Good Lord. Oh no! Broken down, it looks like. Purple truck. Feel, man. Feel ya. Alright, so I briefly talked about this in the last episode, or maybe this will be the same episode. But, gotta ruffle some feathers and just... Public service announcement, PSA. I think there's a cop behind me. Yeah, I think there's a cop behind me. Give me 1 second. I gotta be on my best behavior. I need to put my phone down and all that sort of stuff. Just 2 hands on the wheel. Let this cop pass me. Everyone's going 5 over. Oh, he's getting off. He's getting off. Not like that, you guys. Get your heads out of the gutter. Oh, hey, it's Gateway on the left. Very cool. You guys can't see that. I mean, you can see the heart on the freaking thing. Gateway Motorsports Park. Very cool. Anyways, the R32 GTR, in my opinion, is the only car that has earned the name Godzilla. And in my opinion, that name cannot be inherited just because you have a GTR badge. Because let's go back. Brief history. Layman terms history. The R32 GTR dominated the 1990 All Japan Touring Car Championship Division, Division 1, forcing its competitors to withdraw in a year, making them the only ones to enter, I believe. Kind of like the CLK GTR. Hey, Subaru. When it entered, it dominated and no one wanted to compete, making a race series defunct for a little while, if I remember correctly. It also dominated in 1990 to 1992 the Australian Touring Car Championships, which is very important. Racing rules were changed for both Australian and Japanese race series so that the GTR could no longer compete, as far as I'm aware. Thus, the Australians, or the Aussies, Aussie, oi oi oi, they dubbed the R32 GTR Godzilla. And I think that makes perfect sense because it beat everything. It showed up to Australia and beat everything. The R33, the R34, and R35 all are great cars. They didn't do that. They don't have that same kind of motorsport pedigree. They have some successes under their belts. Oh! But to me, the R32 GTR is the only Godzilla, which makes the R33 Godzilla's son, and the R34 Godzilla's grandson, and then I guess the R35 Godzilla's great-grandson. So the R33 is, the R32 is the king, long live the king of the monsters. The R33 is the prince, and the R34 is like a knight or something. And then the R35 is like a court jester. I'm not sure. You guys can help me figure that out in the comments, like what the hierarchy is. But yeah, the other thing is like, why do people? I mean, this is the same as correcting people's spelling mistakes on the internet. So I'm not doing this to really correct anybody. But why do people argue about whether R35s are Skylines or not? Because they're not. Like, in my opinion, if when you look up the VIN of a car and the model and make and year come up as something that isn't what you're claiming it is to be, then it simply isn't that car. So when you look up an R34 VIN, like BNR34, blah, 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 and it comes up as like 2001 Nissan Skyline GTR, V-Spec 2 or whatever, or M-Spec. That's a Skyline and that's a GTR. It's got both. If you run the VIN of a GTT, like ER34, blah 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 blah, that's a Skyline, just not a GTR, which is fine. It's not really a big deal. It's still a fun car. But then when you run the VIN of an R35, nowhere in any shape or form does it say that it's a Skyline. It's a GTR, just not a Skyline. I guess some people are illiterate, because right now the only cars that are considered Skylines are basically Japan's G35s and all that sort of stuff, G37s. Do they still call those cars Skylines today? Because I know they don't call the GTR a Skyline. I don't know. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter. The R32 GTR, that's Godzilla. All the other ones are GTRs, still very cool. They're just not Godzilla. And then, of course, you've got the whole thing where people think the R35 can be called a Skyline, but it's not. But it's not that big of a deal either, so it'll get your panties in a twist. But yeah, Tom solving controversies that really aren't controversies.